Good morning, everyone. Trying something a little different today. I'm going to share prepping G1. And Charlie says hi. You might hear him in the background. He's my little corgi. Just walked into the room. It'll be probably pretty quiet here this morning. He doesn't like when I talk on the camera. Probably be a little quiet this morning with no one on. That's okay. Come and go as you like. And I like to do my prep early in the morning. Usually the house is quiet. And no one's around. Let me do what I like. Charlie, it's okay. All right, so let's take a look at G1. I'm going to go to share Roll20 here. There we go. There we go. So I'm getting ready to run the Devoured Labyrinth. That's a new book out. And then I'm also getting ready to run G1 Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. Charlie, it's okay. Say hi. Yeah, that's all right. So I guess man, Charlie, calm down. My first question's got to be, what maps do I run with this one? There are a couple of options. There is, of course, the originals with the blue background. We can look at those. There is some maps done by John Pintar, and John did a whole series of some of the classic maps, and I like those a lot, and they're very faithful to the original. And then Mike Schley did some maps, and those were really nicely done. Let's just take a look at them all here. Let me open this up. And then once I have this open, I'll share that part of the screen with you. Here we go. Perfect. Okay, that is the dungeon. Let me open up the upper level. There we go. All right. So you can see John Pintar's map, really well done. All of the giant keep, or giant steading. That's the one I think I'll probably use. Here's an example of the one done by Mike Schley. Oh, I know a better way to do this. Share my Roll20 again. Then Roll20, I'll just drag it into a new window. Share this instead. Okay. There. Now you can see the one by Mike. I really like the feel of this one. It feels a lot more like they're living in some giant, log built steading. It does a lot of violence to the original map. Completely redraws whole sections of the original map. It worked well. I've run it before like this, but I think I might stay with the original layout when I run this one. I'm trying to go back and run some of the old school adventures with my D20 Play RPG, just to get a feel for those. Plus, if you're using D20 Play RPG, or if you're using Shadowdark or OSR or OSE or first edition or second edition D&D, everything kind of easily translates back and forth between those. So it'll have the feel back of playing back in those old adventures too. So let's go with the newer one. Grab that one here. Or actually, I think this is older. I think he did this before Mike did his, although I don't know for sure. So I'm going to share, let me share the tab of the lower level now too. Here's the lower level done by John Pintar. And it's got one thing the new adventure did not have was the opportunity to get the orcs that are down here in the dungeon onto your side and maybe revolting against the giants. And this one retains that. It's got the orc camps down here. Uh, it's got this awesome little temple down here. One of my players in the adventure has a background of being a cultist. May still be a cultist. We don't know. And an aberrant cultist at that. So this little temple is going to be pretty neat if they find that. So yeah, let's do that. So now I'm going to show you what I do with this adventure and what I did with B2. I did this with B2 recently as well. Let's look at the adventure itself. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. We're just doing some prep for G1. I'd love to hear your stories for G1 too. What are some of the things you changed about it? What are some of the things you really liked about it? And zoom in on this guy. So here's the original adventure. This adventure, it is amazing. 12 pages long. Some of those are maps. So of the actual text of the lower level of the dungeon, which consists of 33 rooms, it is 3 pages long. Jam-packed and just full of so much adventure. And then if we look at the upper levels, you got some front material here, some intro material, and the actual keyed rooms at upper levels, again, 3 pages long. 3 pages long for 25 rooms up there. This room was handled really well. It was really cool in the Dungeon Magazine version of this adventure. Let me pull that up. Who's done the Dungeon Magazine version of the adventure? I think they used a really small font. Hey, Ron, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, they did use a small font. And everything's stream of thought. We'll get to that when I start kind of moving the text around. So important things that are the DM should know right away sometimes are like buried at the end of a paragraph. And uh, any good DM is probably going to miss it. Okay, so let me grab. Looking for. Thank you, Charlie, for calming down. My corgi's calmed down finally. He does not like it when I talk on the phone. Oh, he goes crazy, goes berserk. Okay, so I'm grabbing the old version. The not old necessarily, but the Dungeon Magazine version. 197 was the Dungeon Magazine that had this, and this was led by Chris Perkins, who's left Wizards of the Coast. I think Chris was really a genius for writing adventures. Steading of the Hill Giant. Put this guy up. So here is what was in Dungeon Magazine, Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. This, I think, was kind of the pinnacle of 4th edition adventure design. They were really kind of figuring it out near the end. There's a good picture here of the steading. I'm going to use this one when I run the adventure. Let's see if I just grab that image. I have to grab it with the screen capture. There's the map. But original 4th edition adventures were like just so linear, so railroady. This one really embraced the location idea. That's my favorite type of adventure, is a really cool location with its own things going on that the players are going to infiltrate or explore in any way they want. So it really brings player agency into the mix rather than just, here's this encounter roll initiative, here's this encounter roll initiative. A lot of factions in this setting. Oh, here's Nazra. So he's got the great crossbow behind him in the adventure that he can shoot. We have some emissaries. There's a stone giant emissary. They don't have the cloud giant emissaries, I think, when they redid it this way. And they also, when they redid these ones, added a stone giant adventure into the mix, which was a pretty cool one. I was looking for the kitchen. Yeah, the kitchen. So the little giant cooks, they can hurl these giant barrels at the party full of water or honey or flour or oil. Each have a specific effect. They can smash a person with a scalding cauldron. Actually, close blast 3 creatures in the blast. So there could be some pretty evocative stuff in 4th edition that I always thought was pretty cool. But it also always became a slog. The hill giant, the leader of the wolves is a hill giant werewolf. I forgot about that one in this one. Then you have the dungeons here. And again, they don't have the orcs down here, the orc tribes down here that the party can rile up. You got the keeper and his carnivorous apes, the spire giant smith. The temple handled pretty cool with a wall of madness there in the temple. 4th edition did pretty good at handling traps and making them a lot more involved and detailed. There are some orc ruffians here, but they're basically under the tutelage of some stone giant overseers, and there's not a lot of orcs. There's some dwarven mine slaves, a cave roper, and then they have a iron dragon in here. I think it's chimeras in the original. Anyway, that was I ran this one several times in this format. Really a great adventure, and the rest of the giants adventures are done in this format too. So I might take some stuff and steal some stuff from there. But let's go ahead and move on into grabbing stuff into Microsoft Word and kind of moving stuff around. So I had that adventure I showed you there in a second ago. I'm just going to OCR it or open it in Word, copy all the text, and paste it into a Word file. Let me share that Word file with you. All right, so the Word file. Of those maps, what do you guys think? What would you say would be the map you'd most want to use? Go back to the originals? John Pintar's version? Mike Schlee's version? Roll20 Word. Here we go. Yeah, perfect. People have asked how I do the Roll20 stuff I do, and this is how I do it. I just have one giant Word file. You can see it's got 1,000,000+ words in it right now, 3,000 pages in it. But this is where I just copy all my notes. And I copy stuff out of it as it gets old. But I have adventures that I put in here. Just keep on the Borderlands that I just ran. And I have a little template here. And I just copied all that. So I'll have to recopy it. So I'm going to copy the template down to there. And this will be STEADING. ST. So I'll put it right before the bald boar. The bald boar, that was the Sigil adventure I ran recently. Oh man, Sigil. Too bad that consumes so many resources, and in the end, it's just going to fizzle out. Can you imagine if they put all those resources into their books? Would have been really, really good. I hope it's such a lure for them to keep chasing the VTT over and over again. There's a good article by, I think, Steve Randy McFarlane, right? Go search out for his article. He talked about it a little bit, and he had been involved in some of the earlier top stuff they had done. Okay, STEADING giant chief, and then I'm going to grab all the words from the original OCR'd, so they're going to come out across not necessarily great. There'll be a little bit of fixing that as I go. And keep the text only and throw them in here. All right. A whole bunch of gobbledygook. But let's just skip down to, and let me grab the first levels. Here we go. Okay. Entry and cloakroom. And then in their adventure, they have an A and a B to the entry and cloakroom. And then I just have this set up, so I'll make this level maybe 5. 5 puts it down one level. You can see 4 puts it there. That'd be appropriate. So each of the room headings, I'll make heading 4. And that could make this heading 5 to be a sub-level under heading, that one. Okay, so let's just look at this. The place is a bore. The place is bare. Boy, there's going to be a lot of it. I'm afraid that OCR did not work a lot that great. All the so what I try and do is split apart the different parts of it, and maybe I'll just go and do all the creatures. And I break them off onto their own lines. Oh, and then usually also this optical character recognition comes in with strange character returns, but it didn't this time. Nice. So that's handy. I don't know why that had a character return there. Okay, so I'll usually go through and break out the creatures in their own line, break out the treasures into their own line, break out the descriptions into their own line, so it's easier to read, and then break out the important notes into their own line, so I have that. So that's the bulk what I'll be doing here. If you have any questions as I'm going through this, just holler. And if you have any suggestions for stuff you did with the Giant Adventures that was fun and cool, definitely want to hear that. And you can see that the stuff just is not lined up, in these old adventures well with each other. Things that you would expect to be right together aren't right together. The thing that I'll do here is these old adventures are usually written for bigger groups of adventurers. And I'm just going to probably reduce the numbers. So this one, if we read in the first intro part of the adventure, is for, let's see where it'll say it here. It was somewhere in a sidebar early on. It says caution. Is this sidebar that could barely be optically recognized? Anyway, it says it's for a party of 6 to 9, or does it actually specify 9? I think it actually specifies 9 adventurers. Yeah, go look at the original adventure real quick here. The optimum mix is for a group of 9 characters of various classes averaging 9th level. I'm going to be running this as 7th level in the equivalent of Shadow Dark or D20 Play RPG. Maybe a little low, but those I'm topping mine out at 12th level, so we'll see. Some of them might be tough. It says in the caution that a party of but 3 to 4 strong of 6th to 7th level can do it if they are very skilled and very careful. So that's going to be like maximum challenge, definitely, to have 5 characters of 7th level try to come at this adventure. We'll see how they do. But since I like playing with 5 instead of 9, I'm going to reduce all the treasure by 5 to 5 ninths, reduce all the monsters by 5 ninths. And it's going to fit a little better because they are jam-packed in that steading for sure. Okay. So back to the adventure. I suppose the first thing I should do is just make the heading so I can easily get from room to room. Got the maid's chamber, all of the chief. This is where, if the party goes there, they are in trouble. Oh no, that's his room. I'm sorry. It's not the main banquet hall that they're having. They're the main feast hall that they have. Arms room, small dining room. The long hall. This is where the party could be in deep, deep trouble. And it starts out with this the long passageway, which is dim and shadowy and generally deserted and ignored. Dim and shadowy. And then generally deserted. That's DM notes. And ignored for all the feasting and fun is beyond in the Great Hall. Don't need to say all that, obviously. A few torches burn smokily along either wall. So that's more of the description of the room. So that I'd move up. So here I have my description. I have DM notes. And then you come to the Great Hall being its own separate place. And within the long hall. So I make it level 5 here. This place contains trestle tables. And I normally don't say this place contains. So I just get to the point. There's trestle tables, benches, stools, etc. To the north of the fire pit. So I also don't generally leave in directions because unless it's real important, because you can usually look on the map. Plus, I need to be aware myself of only describing things when players get to it. So north of the fire pit. So we got a fire pit, which just parenthetically tells us what's going on. There is a whole ox, 2 sheep, 4 pigs roasting. Then beyond it is the higher table. And all these giants are listed, summarized down below for us. So that's good. Got the chief and his wife. And I'm going to break his wife into a separate line here. The chief is going to have 65 hit points, which, seems really low in 5th edition, right? But that's about right for a D20 play, Shadow Dark OSR, 1st edition type adventure. His wife, he fights as a frost giant, so that's part of his notes. And his wife fights as a male hill giant. I just won't even bother talking about that. Got the sub chief, cloud giant, stone giants, hill giants, a whole bunch of hit point variation. Don't really need any of that, but 22 hill giants. So if I'm going to take 5 knights, and let's just make a little table here for creatures before and after. And I'll, of course, delete this later. And as I do these, I want to repeat them. So 5 knights are 22. 22 times 5 divided 9. That would be 12 giants. 12 hill giants. And fix that. Numbers. Make that heading 4 to stick out for me, or even 3. There we go. So I'll have a reference to that. No problem as I go. So we got 22 becomes 12. 8 times 5 divided by 9 is 4. 9 would be 5. 3 would be 2. 2 would be 1. 1 will keep 1. And okay, so we got all those. And 3 become 2 stone giants. And then we got 8 ogres becomes 4 ogres. 1 cave bear. And that's that. So these are all the denizens of this place. And of course, the ogres and the cave bear, or the ogres, I think, are kind of servants, actually. And, eventually I might go and clean up and remove all the hit points, which I don't need. So the niche giant's going to wear some treasure. Let me go through that. 1 to 4 pieces of jewelry with 200 to 1200. So again, I can do the numbers here. 200 be 100. 12 be 5 divided by 9 is 550, or it'd be 5. Should be 6. Must have done that wrong. 12 times 5 divided by 9. Definitely 6 is actually 7. So the treasure for the giant should range, the jewelry piece should range from 100 to 700 gold pieces. And then the ogres are about half that amount, worth 100 to 400 gold pieces. And the sub-chief has 4 pieces. The chief and his wife also bear 4 pieces. Pet bear's got a collar. Servants and ogre slaves will be entering the Great Hall from the west. So this is GM notes type of stuff. I like to get the GM notes right up top. Go do some moderation here. Where's that coming from? Twitch. Twitter. Oh well. Don't have time to moderate it, so go ignore that. Ignore that if you're in Twitter. So we got truss tables, benches, stools, etc. Fire pit, a whole ox, 2 sheep, 4 pit roasts, higher table, where leaders are sitting is what I want to say. Leaders sit. Okay, so then we got some more description. On a wall directly behind the chief is a small ballista, which she's going to use as a crossbow. So that I want to move down to the chief and kind of update it for this version of the game I'm running. So use ballista as crossbow. That's going to have a range of 150 feet and do crossbow's only D8, so hill giant might be 2D8, or I could do 3D6 as well. This is kind of a really cool feature. So 3D6 damage, piercing damage, and what does attack bonus be? So as a frost giant, let me open up my draft of the latest rules. The D20 play rule set that I'm working on, it's sitting a little bit somewhere between Shadow Dark and D&D, but definitely closer to like the Shadow Dark First Edition level of power. Borrowing a lot of the stuff I like from a lot of different systems, for sure. Open this guy up. Here we go. Actually, be easier if I could present them both together. I'll have to figure out how to do that. So there's the system, and if we go to giants, hill giant, he's going to fight it like a frost giant. So boulder should be +6, 2d8. Definitely needs to do at least that. A stone giant does 2d10. So it could be as good as a stone giant. And the stone giant's boulder attack is +7. Frost giant would be attacking at +8. The chieftain's supposed to be as good as a frost giant. So I'll do like a Frost Giant's Boulder, plus 8 for 2d10. That'll be what I do. So let me stop that. There we go. That's good. Use ballista as crossbow, 150 feet, plus 8, 2d10. If he grabs that ballista off the wall, on the wall directly behind the chief is a small ballista. And then I'm going to put notes chief may use. 6 spears, which are bolts for the ballista. Barrels and kegs and mead stand all around. All tables full of various meat, cheese, bread, and drinking containers, horns, mugs, cups, etc. Singing, talking, laughing, shouting, arguing, wrestling, joking. Places a veritable din of noise. The following creatures are in the hall. Okay, so. And joking, I can just stop there. Veritable din of noise. So, the first thing any party would experience, or any adventurers would be experience, is the veritable din of noise. They'd see the singing, the talking, they'd hear all that before they'd look upon the trestle tables, benches, stools, etc. They'd see the fire pit, they'd see the higher table where the leaders sit. Don't need to redescribe the leaders. There are various servants and orc slaves entering the Great Hall from the west. And a lot of this stuff will be dependent on if they are still there or if the party's coming back after there's been a fight. And so I'll usually differentiate that too with the things that are static, which is mostly this, right? And on the wall, on the north wall, so the wall directly behind the chief, on the north wall is a small ballista. And that'll be like almost the last thing. Barrels and kegs, all the tables full of various meat and cheese. There you go. And the higher table where leaders sit are only if the leaders are still there. All right. Then we got all that. And I started going through the treasures. The sub chief has 4. The chief and his wife were 4. The chief's stuff's worth more. So 10 is probably going to be 6. 5 over 9, tab 6. So if the chief, their stuff will be worth 600 to 4,000. Now, one thing I'm losing by doing this conversion here is that if you noticed, all the original numbers were ranges where you could roll a die to get what it is. So I'll fix that so it's back to a range again. So 100 to 800, so that's D8, D4 for these ones. The sub chief's wearing 4 pieces, so that'd probably be 4 pieces of what the giants wear, of what it's worth, I would assume. Chief and his wife wear 4 pieces, but they're worth more. So if I want to keep that, I'll do 1,000. So that'll be a D4. The chief's pet bear has a jeweled studded collar with 6 rubies, worth 1,000, should be about 600 gold. Okay, so that room, you got things to describe that could change because people come and go. And I usually put that at the end of the things that don't change, even though it might be the first thing the players see. It's a good question if I should leave it on the first thing or the last thing. And I might take all this and make it green, so I know that's stuff that I'm going to share with the players. And I might make this italic because I know it's dependent on what's going on. And then you got all the creatures. and I don't need all the extra hit points and stuff. I'll just say as Frost Giant. Don't need that. I got rid of it. Got his wife. Sub Chief. Cloud Giant, 2 Stone Giants, 12 Hill Giants, 4 Ogres, Cave Bear. And that's that. So there's that room split out into, really easy to read and really easy to run. And that's generally what I do with most of my rooms. And I kind of color code everything. And I'll often move it to be with the creatures. And then if I don't feel like randomly picking treasure, rolling treasure like that, I might just assign it values. So I sometimes will put them with the creatures that are wearing them if they're worn, and separate below if they're not worn. So if the ogres run, you're not getting, I know what you're getting for treasure. And then I might move that to there. And then I might just say they'll have 2 half that amount, say I have 1 to 2 worth. So the average there is 250 and 1.5. 250 times 1.5 divided by 2. So I'll say about 200 gold pieces each. So jewelry, and I'll say crude. Crude jewelry. Oh, it's worth up to 800. No, it was half that, 100 to 400. Crude jewelry worth 200 gold times 2 or times 8. And then I know that if there's less than 4 ogres, I just change that multiplier. And I also do this with the creatures times 4. Yeah. And then the idea is when I'm done and the adventure's over and I'm just doing a summation for the party, I grab each of the lines of treasure that they found and copy it into another document as a reference for them. So we got all sorts of giants. We'll start with the hill giants. They're wearing cruel jewelry. It's worth more. It's 1 to 4 pieces, so it's 2.5 pieces times 12. We'll make it 2 pieces, so times 24. And it's worth 100 to 800. So that's a D8, so that's 450 average times 2.5 average pieces. 2.5 times 450 times 12 divided by 24 pieces. So that's going to be 500 gold pieces each, we'll say. Then the sub chief's wearing 4 pieces, so we can copy to the sub chief. We know he's got 4 of those on. The chief and his wife are wearing 4 pieces, and maybe less crudely now. Chief and his wife each wearing 4 pieces, so he'll have 2, and they'll be worth 3,000 gold each. And she'll have 2, worth 3,000 gold each. There we go. So jewelry's spread apart. Now the cloud giants and such, they're going to have treasure. It should, you would think, have better treasure than the hill giants. Definitely the cloud giant, you would think would. So he'll have jewelry. It'll be worth 1,000 times 2. And then the stone giants, that'll be worth 800 times 4, because there's 2 of them. So all that jewelry all spread out amongst all the giants. And the cave bear, he's wearing a jeweled studded collar. And that is, with 6 rubies, worth 600 gold. So I prettied all this up more than I necessarily do, although if I'm reusing the adventure or such, I'll definitely take some time to sort stuff out, because I'm going to eventually have to sort out anyway on who's got what jewelry. And then I can come along and control click whatever jewelry they actually encountered and then paste it into a document where I have the sum of it all together for them. after the adventure's over. So there's the Great Hall, all sorted out with everything in there. Let's go through some other ones. This is a good one. This is a good illustration of an important lesson to learn as a DM that I still struggle with. I think all DMs struggle with it. And that's room descriptions. This is like one of the most famous gotcha room descriptions that I know of. The main guest chamber. So if I'm a DM running this adventure, I might come along, I might say the cloud giant. I'm just going to copy and paste this room so you can see before and after I'm resorted it. There we go. All right. If you're just joining, I'm going through G1 and getting it ready to run, kind of sorting the notes and stuff for it, resizing it for a party of 5 instead of a party of 9 like it's originally sized for. It's already for first edition, and I'm running a System D20 Play RPG that's very similar to first edition in scope and power. So I don't really have to change much of the denizens in the place beyond the quantities of them. Nor do I have to change much of their hit points or the damage they do or anything like that. In fact, I could run these monsters pretty much as is, and I think you can do the same in Shadow Dark or OSR or OSE or systems like that. Pretty straightforward. So I'm looking at this main gotcha room. This is a main guest chamber in the giant steading. And if I was trying to run this for a group of players, and if I had taken some time ahead of time, I might have highlighted it for myself in the old days. I might describe it. There are 6 beds, 4 chairs, 4 stools, 7 chests, 2 tables in the room. Various skins and hides cover the floors. Several hang on the walls, and there are giant garments on several pegs. One torch burns smokily at the west end of the room, and a wall sconce. At the other end is what appears to be an unlit torch. Oh, you catch it? That's what appears to be an unlit torch. Players will zero in on that right away. Why did you describe one torch as burning smokily and then the other one just appears to be a torch? And I try to expunge as much as I can words like appears to be, seems to be, looks like, from my descriptions in except for like very specific cases. So just assume things are what they are. Players see what they see. They assume a tree is a tree. It's not something that appears to be a tree. They assume a torch is a torch. It's not something that appears to be a torch. And just describe it as such. You see a torch. So let's modify this room here. So this is notes for the DM. Cloud Giant and 3 Stone Giants lodged here. They're now at 11. Don't need to know they're now at 11. I know that. And that's just GM notes. So I'm going to move this to the end. And usually I'll probably go through and do some character returns. So there are a whole bunch of furniture. There's some tables. There's various skins covering the floors, hanging the walls. There are giant garments on several pegs. So I might just do that. All found are worthless, as are probably the contents of all chests. And do we even describe that there's chests? For chairs, 7 chests. Under the beds. God, this OCR was bad. Probably boxes. Chests and tucked under the beds. We'll look at that in a second. One torch burns smokily in the west end of the wall sconce. The other end appears to be a torch, but it's actually a giant slaying. So for this one, we could say 2 torches, 1 lit. That's it. 2 torches, 1 burning smokily. Boom. If you're describing this room. And always when I'm describing these rooms, I have in view the room themselves. Let me pull that in. working on getting the room in here for us. Somehow I'm doing something odd with my controls. Here we go. This will work. Yeah, I'm gonna do this, and then you'll be able to see a little better what's going on. Copy this. Copy. Just gonna paste the. Normally I don't work. Oh, this isn't gonna work well. Let's see what happens here. Normally I don't work in preview mode, which I'll need for this picture to show up because it slows down everything pretty much, but we'll see. Having a hard time with that command. So this room we're looking at while it's thinking, there it goes, is the very bottom room down there in the bottom corner of the steading. There are quite a few beds in there. That's what, six total beds, big fireplace, a table and such. Let's see, that's room 14. Just make sure I'm in the right place. Yeah, perfect. Okay, main guest chamber. And normally, also when I'm actually doing the room descriptions for the players, I'll have the map, right? So they can see there's 6 beds, they can see there's 4 chairs, they can see there's stools, they can see there's chests. So I can just say, give her the numbers, there are beds. I don't even say chairs and stools, that's fine. Beds and chests. Beds, table, and chests. Two tables in the room per the description. I guess there are 2 tables in the room. So I can make that tables. Bear skins and hide cover the floors. Yep. Several hang on the walls. Giant garments on several pegs. Yep. I'm not sure where those would be. Don't need to talk about chests and boxes tucked under beds. Except I think a box might come up later. We'll see here. And 2 torches, one burning smokily to the west. Let's see. Careful about drawing too much attention. So 2 torches, 1 lit, and burning smokily. That's it. So now the party's going to have to key in on, there's 2 torches, there's 1 unlit. Anything special about that? A lot different than there's what appears to be a torch. So the unlit one is actually, and I'll do this like in GM notes, unlit torch is magic. And then I'll just put that in here. And it is Giant Slayer Sword. Belonging to the Cloud Giant, and if touched, a special illusion is dispelled. Revealed if touched. Giant Slayer Sword. Unique. It's got indulgence and everything. Hill, stone, and frost giant language in addition to the common tongue. Language and the language of neutral good. So the Cloud Giant neutral good? I don't recall if they specify in this adventure. He's an emissary. Doesn't mean he has to be on the side of the hill giants and of their ultimate leaders. Anyone in the chat remember, is the Cloud Giant this adventure good aligned? I don't think it says. Leaving it up to us. Detects enemies, has no other powers. +2 in general, +4 versus the assorted giant, scoring that plus in damage, of course. All this all replaced with whatever in-game giant slayer swords are. Cloud giant and 3 stone giants lodge here. Know that. And that can just be GM notes. And that's that room. So now you have a description cut down to just the things that are obvious. One unobvious thing is then that the torch is magical. So just a GM note. Illusions revealed if touched. And it's actually a giant slayer sword. And all its other stuff there. I'll update for the game using my rules, whatever I decide to make a giant slayer sword. That's the description of the guest chamber instead of this description where it's all just kind of run together and a lot more detail than you need. You don't need to know how many beds there are exactly or stools exactly. You definitely don't want to say what appears to be. That's just a hard habit to break too as a GM, to say things appear to be or seem to be or it looks like. I recommend just saying what it would be assumed to be. And usually that's what it is. Okay, we got these 2 common rooms, 15 and 16. These are just rooms where giants stay, hill giants, I believe. And I don't need to describe how many of each type of furniture there is. That's shown on the map. So this place has cots, boxes, stools, table, benches, and various odds and ends. And that's it. That is that room. And this one's the same. Some hides on the floors, etc. Oh, this one's got a treasure in it. So this one's the same. It'll start out the same. This place has cots, boxes, stools, table, benches, various odds and ends. And then if you cloak, some hides on the floors and walls, etc. So then if the party searches, you can say a small chest on a stool in the northeast corner of the room contains some dwarven and elven ears, and one of those has an earring. Not a lot of value in that treasure. Has an earring. So then I'll copy this. And it's going to be worth 60 gold. And that's that treasure. All right, on to the kitchen. The kitchen workroom. We need to back up. I kind of skipped ahead here to the other side of the steading. Let me finish this side of the steading. We'll do that, then we'll come to the compound in a second. All right, the kitchen. That's pretty fun in the adventure as written. Yeah. Get us a look on the map of this area. There we go. Nice. Delete that one. If you're just joining us, I'm looking through G1 and getting G1 prepped to run, updating it for 5 characters instead of 9 as it's originally designed for, kind of clarifying the treasure within it and reducing the treasure to 5 character treasures versus 9. So now we're looking in the area of the kitchen, and this kitchen area has got a fun illustration of the giant trying to smash, well, not fun for the orcs, trying to smash in the orc slaves. Typical giant kitchen with counters on the walls, several tables. I don't know what typical giant kitchen means. I don't know if the players know, uh, but they can just say hi. Counters along the walls, several tables, benches, and a stool or two. Various items for cooking and baking. I don't think we need all the different things for cooking and baking. There are 29 orc slaves. Wow. About the place, who will run away from any strong-looking party. 5 giantess serving maids, and 11 young ogre servants. Those will also run, but call for help. The ogres having only 12 hit points due to their age. So I'll just make them regular ogres and give them regular ogre stats and maybe have fewer of them. There's nothing about it, and just say they look smaller. I might lower their hit points. Young ogre servants, half hit points. Yeah, half hit points works. And then for the numbers, let's write the numbers down here. Did I not drag it? That's odd. I always used to be able to drag it. Okay, there we go. Copy those there. Okay, so we got 29 as a new number, times 5 divided by 9. 29 times 5 divided by 9. So that's 16. 5 divided by 9 is going to be 6. What? 5 times 5 divided by 9 is 3. Yeah, not 6. Because 6 is going to be 3. And 7, maybe 3 or 4. That's 4. Okay. So we got 5 giantesses. That should be 3 giantesses in there. 11 young orc servants. Six orc servants. There we go. 16 orc slaves run away from any strong-looking party. They will also call creatures of nothing of value. Okay, so this area is 17 is the kitchen right here. Then we got the kitchen workroom up here. That's going to be area 18. High counters along walls. Okay. Move this in between room descriptions. There we go. Okay, the kitchen workroom. This is also a ready storage area, eating place for servants. Okay, good. There are tables along counters, stools, benches, and kitchen gear about. There are, don't say about. There are numerous sacks, boxes, and barrels. And don't know what they contain until you check in them, so I'll put that separate line. flour, dried meat, dried fruit, honey, etc. This you can see though. Various cheeses, smoked meats, and sausages hang from the rafters. Several casks and tons of ale, beer, meat, and wine. Loaves of bread are stacked on one table. But no one in there. Interesting. Then 18A, where's that? 18A is that little room that's got the stairs going down. So that's this guy right here is 18A. And the 5 giantesses serving maids, they just run, but will call for help. I like how in the one done for 4th edition, they just fight. They have, let's look at the 4th edition one. See if we want to steal anything from there. There it is. Here we go, kitchen and dining hall. They have 2 hill giant cooks, so we're down to 3. They can attack with tenderizers, meat cleavers, pots. They can hurl a pot, hurl barrels. So I'm saying that those just need to stay giants instead of hurling trash like I have hill giants hurling or small rocks or whatever. They can do all this stuff. I like the scalding cauldron where they basically throw the cauldron from the fireplace out into a blast, doing damage. I'm gonna definitely mine a bunch of this stuff. That's all very cool compared to they run in and call for help. All right. Four's got to be 2 as well. There we go. So yeah, this is all description. It's all green. 18A is just a storage room with more provisions, as well as stairs. Stairs leading down. Leading, just say down. All right. Servants' quarters. Servants' quarters is that was 18A. 19 is a big room. 20, 21. I like how they changed the servants' quarters too in the adventure for Dragon Amazing. This, which is servants' quarters in the original adventure, becomes like a dining hall, a trophy hall, and that's where the giantesses might run for help because there's a champion up there that they could call for help from. So we have that, and then we have this guy here. This is probably where orcs are going to be living, and then this is probably where ogres are going to be living. Double check the original map on that. 19, 20, 21, yeah, they roll down that way. Okay. So 19 servants, orc slaves, and then ogre quarters. The servant, the one on the north, the large common room is various sizes. Okay, so just, you can see it's large by the map. Cots, tables, chairs, stools, and the like. Cluttered with old clothing and junk. 6 giant maids, non-combatants, and a handsome giant warrior who will be immediately do battle in order to show off for his admirers. 60% of the time, he'll shout every time. This giant's the dire wolf keeper, and he has a whip hanging beside the door to the east, so that should be visible to the party. Example of something buried away in the text. The whip need only be shown to the wolves to make them cower and fall back. There we go. That's real important for the party. But not something they'll immediately know, so we'll indent that. We got that, okay. And the 6 is going to become 3, I bet. Yep, 3 giantess maids. Non-combatants, I'll make them combatants when I run it. Will immediately do battle in order to show up for his admirers. Will not raise cry. And so these are the giant. I mean, did that stuff. His strategy. Dire Wolf Keeper. And then also knows about whip. And if he's going to cry for help, will not rise or cry for help unless brought to 50% hit points. Half hit points. On round this happens. Raise help by shouting with a 60% of being heard. Okay. Don't need to say all that. I understand how that works. What's important is the 60% chance he's heard. There we go. And these are descriptions. Then we got work slaves. This hall is a messy and smelly place filled with pallets and junk. All but 2 of the slaves are working elsewhere. 2 in this place being too injured. Ooh, broken bones. Happily help a party that'll aid them. So these guys will have like 1 hit point. If the party can get back up to their full 6, I think, for an orc, maybe 5, then they will help them. They know about the rebellion. So here's the party's in the dungeons. They will tell the party that any orcs they see there should be hailed as friends. Otherwise, they know only the kitchen area and the Great Hall. Okay. So, orc time 2. Here we go. Ogre quarters. The hill giants employ ogres for scouts, messengers, servants, and the like. So that's GM info. For the ogres are trusted flunkies as well as hard workers and fighters. 5 orcs here. Ogres. Times 5. Playing knuckle bones, drinking small beer, amidst the heaps of skins on which they sleep. Sit in a leather sack. Okay, let me see here. This is just GM info, not a description of the room at all. This is what the ogres are doing that are in the room. There are heaps of skins. That's part of the room description. Amidst the skins, so there'd be search skins. Find hidden leather sack. in heap 15. Containing. Now we do treasure. Potion of Storm Giant Strength. Potion of Delusion. Locked in a great iron chest with a key by the strongest ogre. So there should be a great iron chest here. Let's see if it's on the map. Yep, there's a great iron chest right there. So you'll have heaps of skins and a great iron chest. Which is locked. Key held by the strongest ogre, now at 11. held by ogre at 11. So then we come back to area 11, which is the long hall. We got 4 ogres here, and one has key to chest in area 21, I think it was. Where are we at there? 21, yeah. So that's an example of finding stuff that's like, too bad they couldn't do edit runs, and too bad they didn't have word processors back then. But for verisimilitude, the party should find a key when they're searching these ogres that they don't know what it is until they get to this room over here. Locked. Key held by ogre at 11. Got that. Okay. And inside, 955 silver pieces, 705 gold, whole bunch of platinum. And then we got some treasure in the ogres. Noise from the place will attract no attention whatsoever. That's an important note, in case you thought a fight would be important here. So I'll put that up here with the GM notes. Okay. So then we got ogre times 5. One of them, oops, has a gem on a thong around his neck, and it's going to be 1,000. So that'll be a 600 gold piece gem. For one of them, and then a bunch of copper on the ground. Playing at neck bones, drinking small beer. So heaps of skins, great iron chest, cleared area with copper, wager stacks, and horns of small beer. The place is going to reek of ogre and stale beer. Beer, not bear. Okay, so the first thing you come in, it reeks of ogre and small beer. You see heaps of skins about, great iron chest, a cleared area with copper wager stacks, with stacks of coppers. Notes for wagering, copper coins, and horns of small beer. And then the great iron chest in the south. And there's 5 ogres. There's 1 gem on a thong worth 600 gold amongst them. They are playing at Knucklebones and drinking small beer. Employed for scouts. Employed as scouts. Messenger servants and the like. That's fine. Etc. That's why they're there. I don't know that I need to know that in game. I know that now. I won't forget in game. Noise from the place will attract no attention whatsoever. That's kind of important. And if they search the skins, they'll find the hidden leather sack containing that treasure. And the potion of illusion needs to be something else. What might you have that you think is heroism, maybe? That helps you but doesn't. Delusion. Okay. Potion of Storm Giant Strength, pretty nice. Thank you guys for watching. I'm just kind of going through prepping the Giant Adventure G1 that we'll be running next week. So there's the ogre quarters. Oh, and then inside the chest. So that'll be here. Unlock chest. Or I'll just put it with the chest right up here in case they get it open. I just put the double dash there because that's the format I use when I do the summaries for treasure. So 955 times 0.555. That's what 5 over 9 is. Now that I've done it several times. So 530 silver pieces. 705 times 0.555. 390 gold pieces. And 79. 44 platinum pieces. All right. Reese Ogre and stale beer, heaps of skins. How's that all look compared to the map? Cleared area. I'm not sure where the cleared area is, but wherever I put the ogres is where it'll be. Orc slaves, ogre quarters. Okay, let's go back to the start of the adventure and get back into the very first entry area. Let me update my map for you. Be looking at the entry area. We're using maps for this by John Pintar. And this is pretty faithful reproduction of the original, just in higher fidelity and color and with all the furnishings in the chambers and such. Copy that. And I'll put it right here. So for those of you watching in YouTube, when was the last time you ran or played G1? Okay, got that there for us to look at. And area 1 is this entry area right here. Entry and cloakroom. The place is bare, but there are many pegs. I need to say that. So I'll just say there are many pegs along the walls and various items of giant outerwear, capes, cloaks, etc., and bags hang from them. This is the infamous giant contents. When I left this adventure at my grandparents' house, my grandfather was always into like old Conan books and such. So he was kind of like interested a little bit in D&D, but never really played it at all. He picked up this adventure and was starting to read through it and found it highly entertaining for the random stuff in the entry room. Okay, so there are many pegs along the walls. Various items of giant outerwear and bags hang from them. Important noise could alert A or B below. And A, 2 snoring giants. So don't need their hit points. They're snoring. Supposedly guarding the entrance. There is a nearly empty keg available between them. They could alert the other guard. There is a 1 in 20 chance that any well-planned scheme to kill them will foil. Otherwise, they can be slain simultaneously and quiet maintained. Okay. B. So this is these steps that lead up to a guard tower. Don't know if I have a guard tower in this map anywhere. Steps leading up to a watchtower. Be the description. Got a little giant dozing. Flagon of mead in his hand. Iron hoop, this will be part of the room description. Iron hoop and straight bar hanging on ropes from a rafter above will alert the place of struck together. Indent that. Giant wears a belt with a gem stud gold buckle. Okay, so we got some treasure on the giant. So steps leading up to a watchtower. Iron hoop and straight bar hanging on ropes from a rafter above. There we go. Hill giant dozing, flagon of mead in his hand. There's a belt with a gold buckle. So I got some treasure there. 6 gems with 100 each for 1,400. Okay, so back to my numbers. Where did that go? Must be down here somewhere. Numbers, there we go. Oh, there we go. So let me move it this time. Perfect. Okay, so 14. Haven't done 14 yet. Times 0.555. 800 gold. Belt set with a gold buckle, with gem set gold buckle, 800 gold. Get rid of all that extra stuff. I was going to pry out the individual pieces. Dun, dun, dun. Treasure. And this will be on the giant. Okay, that's good. Drink cloakroom. 2 Stormy Hill Giant card. Now we come to the sub chief's room. Room number 2 is this guy right here, the first room. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5 for rooms. 2, 3, 4, 5. So sub chief's room. Should be no one here, I'm pretty sure. Oh no, he's got his girlfriend in here, or a girlfriend in here. Place contains a scattering of furnishings. Hides. So I describe it twice. We can describe it once. Hides on the floors, a bear skin on the wall. I don't need to worry about chair and stool. A huge chest and a vast bed mounted with furs. On a shelf 9 feet above the floor are a beaten silver comb. Okay, so we have some treasure there, which the party might not necessarily notice, but if they search, they'll find it. A shelf 10 feet above the floor are beaten silver comb set with gems, copper mirror, and a large gold hairpin with a pearl in it. All right. So with 4 gems. Pearl. All right. So 300 should be 200 gold. And 200 should be 100 gold. And 800 should be 400 gold. Under the furs and the bed is a sleeping giantess. So we got the search there with the treasure. She's going to have some treasure. Will awaken on a 1 through 4 if a loud noise occurs in the room. So that's important right away. As a note to the GM, loud noise in room. Awaken giantess. On a 1 through 4. 1 and 4. I like how Shadowdark notates chances of things happening. And since I usually 20s all the time, that'll be a 5 and 20. There we go. Loud noise in room, awaken giantess, 5 and 20 chance that happening. Oh, I should look at random monsters here in a second too. Then you got the description. Hides on the floors. Bear skin on the wall. Huge chest. Vast bed mounted with furs. under furs on bed is giantess. Who is sleeping? Doesn't say she's inebriated. I don't know if she should be or not. That's a good question. The chest contains, okay, so search chest. 90 copper, 320 silver. Not locked anyway, it appears. 1500 gold. So 980 times 0.555, 550. 180, and then 1500 is 850 gold. That's the sub-chief's room. How did I get the kitchen workroom? Oh no, because everything under numbers moved with numbers. Shoot. Okay, so let me fix that. 18 down to 21. Holy cow, it's gonna be the whole rest of the adventure. So it might be easier to fix the stuff that goes above it. Yeah. From 3 down to 17 here. Done. Copy, delete that. Outer sub-chief's room. Be careful, dragging contents around like I did there. So now I learned my lesson. Can't just drag numbers. But if I move it while heading down, now I'll be able to drag it and not mess stuff up. Okay. So we got the dormitory, which is this one with what, 10 bunk beds, so 20 small giants could be in there. And there's 12, and 12 becomes 7. 7 young giants. So for a young giant, what should I do? Half hit points and disadvantage check and attack and save. Might represent a young giant well. And they rollicking, beefy smack, shouts, laughter, etc. all heard outside the door. Oh, they fight as ogres. So I could treat them as ogres, okay? That's good. Noise from you will be regarded as kids fighting and having fun. No treasure. Oh, interesting. You can wear the young giant's garb with subtle padding, could passes the youngsters of not seeing closer than 20 feet. I don't think I've ever seen a party try that in all the times I've run this adventure. Have you ever seen a party try that? Let me know in the chat or the comments for the video. That's interesting. Rollicking and BB smack, shouts, etc. heard outside. So the room description. So that's what can be heard outside. Just got bunks and mess. 7 young giants, easily heard. Fight as ogres. There we go. And it should be young hill giant times 7. Notice from here. Okay, so that's the description. The whole extent of the description. That's the monsters. Good note there. I might come back and sort that a little bit more in the future, but for now, that's good. Then we got a giant barracks with some sleeping giants. So the giant barracks, we come back up to that. That would be this chamber here. There's looks like 9 beds in that chamber normally. 2 soundly sleeping giants. Can be heard snoring. So we'll have snoring, beds, and chests. Describe the room. That's the full room description, beds and chests. No, there's more. There are items of clothing hanging from the walls. Couple torches smoldering in wall cressets. And then treasure. So that'd be search. Find in first chest. Dang, that's a lot of platinum. 600 platinum pieces there. Wait a second. Sorry, 60 platinum pieces there. Two snoring giants. So the first thing you're going to hear are the snoring giants. Beds and chest items, including a handful of walls, a couple torches smoldering. There we go. I'm going to move this to my map. I'm going to move numbers above the map. That way the map will come with it. There we go. All right, I was down to barracks. So let's look at the maid's chamber. Put that above. So the maid's chamber is, I think it's this one right up here. Number 5, maid's chamber. It's got a table, it's got a chest, it's got beds. That should be the scope of it. 4 giantesses. Usual furnishings. Okay. Whatever that is. Usual furnishings. Only the nasty old matron is inclined to fight. Dominates the others. If the matron's slain, the other 3s will not fight, will even cooperate with the party by describing rooms 8, 9, and 1D, the chief's sanctums. Probably 10. 8, 9 to 10. And telling how to get there safely if they are allowed to have the matron's hoard of treasure. So, usual furnishings. We got an iron chest under the matron's bed. Okay, so what are usual furnishings? Be beds, giant beds. Threadbare sheets. Chests. 1 iron. There we go. That's room descriptions. 4 giantesses. And then we got all that. An iron chest, so that'll be searching. In iron chest, under matron's bed, are 3 bracelets. What if that's missing a number? 300 gold pieces, D4 potions. Note that the maids do not particularly want the potions. Okay. So we got bracelets. Those are valuable bracelets. 2 is 1, 800 is 4, so that's perfect. That could be a D4 again. But we'll just say they're worth 2,000 gold each, or 2,500 gold each. So that'd be gold bracelet. 2,500 GPs times 3. And let me look at the original. Is that supposed to be 300 or 3,000 gold? It was 3,000. Somehow it dropped a digit. And then just so 3,000 GPs, and then D4 potions. So it should be 2.5. We'll do 2. Let's do a extra healing and hill giant control. That sounds fun. And there we go. Maids don't want the potions. The old nasty matron, strongest of the 4, is inclined to fight. She should be like a full hill giant. The giantess is maybe half hit points. Dominates the others. If matron's slain. Oh, and plus there won't be 4. Have I been not reducing the numbers here? I did the smaller ones. The 2 strong giants in the front should just be 1, not 2. There we go. The ogres, did I reduce the ogre numbers? Well, we'll see in a minute. Okay, so here's the maids. There should be just 3, it's going to be 2 giantesses. A nasty old matron, and she dominates the other. Matron slain. Others will not fight. We will cooperate. By describing rooms 8, 9, 10. If they are allowed to have the matron's hoard of treasure. So you will cooperate if they are allowed to have the matron's hoard of treasure. By describing the rooms, telling hoard of treasure, not including the potions. There we go. Bum, bum, bum. Actually, they're not particularly wanting the potions, but they won't spell that out. The party will have to negotiate that. And the party that's been in here is not going to have our time fighting one hill giant who's not even a combatant. So it's kind of a hollow offer. Hall of the Chief. So we need to move our map. Okay, so this big one here is the Hall of the Chief. It's got a fireplace, firewood, some kegs, some barrels, long tables, another chest there it looks like. Let's see how the description goes. Numerous interesting things fill this place. Okay. Get rid of that. There are tables, chairs, of course, and tables, chairs, rugs, hides, and skins on the floors and walls. There are trophies on the walls. Oh, cool. These trophies are kind of cool, I think. Trophies on the walls. Heads, dwarven, human, and various animals and monsters. Skulls, skins, and some arms and armor. Directly across something on the fireplace are 8 shields. Directly across, what did that originally say? Area 6. Directly across from the fireplace are 8 shields, one of which is magical. Okay. Directly across from, oh, that was from the fireplace are 8 shields, one of which is magical. So search, or maybe, yeah, search / detect magic. Find shield +3. That's a nice shield. Holy mackerel. That'll make a two-handed fighter maybe change their mind. There is a brass jar on the mantle of the fireplace, but it has no value. A skull there is also valueless, but inside, large gem worth 2,000. One of the kids was playing with it, stuffed inside the skull, and has been forgotten. All right, delete that. Inside it is large gem. 2,000 is going to become, oh, let's see, it's 20. It'd be 20 times 0.555, 11. 20 is 11. Worth 1,100 gold. Or keep it simple, make 1,000. Large gem. Okay, so there are tables, chairs, rugs, hides, and skins. There are tables and there are tables and chairs. Rugs, hides, and skins on the floors and walls. The tables have pottery with flagons. There are tables with pottery, flagons, and platters on them. We don't need to describe the chairs. You can see that in the room. Rugs, hides, and skins on the floors and walls. Pots and kegs are all about the place. There are trophies on the walls. Heads. Dwarven, human, and various animals and monsters. Skulls, skins, some skulls, skins, and there's no other arms or armor. So I'm just going to say and 8 shields. There we go. And 8 shields. There we go. Now, I wonder if there's a little bit better description in Dungeon 197 about this room. Because Perkins is good at better descriptions than this. So in this one, giant lodgings. So this room kind of goes away, but maybe in his den? No, maybe in his bedroom? Shield of warding. So it kind of lost its detail there in the rewrite. Okay, well, if I can think of some stuff, I'll add it in the future to this. So search detect magic, you'll find the shield. Brass jar in the middle of the fireplace, but no value. So part of searching, large gem. Okay, search detect magic on wall. And then in skull on mantle. Boom. That shield is an awesome magic item. Hall of the Chief. Tables there's trophies on the walls. Boom. Chamber of the Chief's Wife. Now we're getting to where I need to expand the map. Oh no, Chief's Wife's gonna be the bottom southeast corner right here. That's the Chamber of the Chief's Wife. Bed, couple chests, fireplace, writing table, firewood, rugs and animal skins. Area 7. Okay, so now we come down here to Area 7. She is at 11, but the room has her pet cave bear. Oh, that's not good. Cave bear. Jax is a guard. Got that. Will attack immediately. Will immediately attack any intruder for it can smell the person at the door. Makes no noise. Okay. So that's going to happen right away. There's a bed, small table, chair, stool, chests. There's a bed, table. It's not going to be small. There's a bed, table, chests, a coffer, and rugs. Already got a coffer, rugs, and heights. The chest contains only clothing as she wears for jewelry, but hidden in the straw mattress. Okay. There's a whole bunch of treasure. Whew. So that'd be part of searching. And then hidden in the straw mattress is a leather pouch with, boom, 29 gems of all sorts of values. Okay, so let's drag the numbers down here. $29 gems. 29 is going to become 16 gems. The highest value is worth 5,000, so that's worth 3,000. I need to find some types of this. I'll fill that in later. 3,000 GPs. Then we got a couple worth 1,000, which is going to become 500 times 2, we'll say. The 500s will become 300s. And there's 4 of those, so it'll be times 2 of those. And then the 100s will become 50s. And there's 8 of those, that'll become 4. And then the 50s will become 25s. There's 5 of those, they'll become 3. And then the 10s, I'll keep 10, that's pretty small for a gem anyway. And times the remaining. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it'll be times 4 of those. There we go. Search and hidden straw mattress, leather pouch with a whole bunch of gems. So there's all the gems the party can take out of there. And again, I like sort this so that I can copy and paste it into a summary field when the adventure's over. So now, Cave Bear is going to be an immediate thing that's going to be ran into, but I always put the description of the room here. I might put a note, K-Bear alert will immediately attack when doors open. I already have that. K-Bear. Immediately attack an intruder. Can smell person at door. Makes no noise. There's your K-Bear. There's your room description. Search. There we go. And K-Bear. Then the Chief's Chamber. Now we need another picture of the room for us. Scroll the map up to this part of the adventure. Okay. The Chief's Chamber is this one here. Looks like it's got a big bed, a table, fireplace, chests, side tables, etc. Chief's Chamber. This room is hung with rugs and skins. And there are hides on the floor. Hung with rugs and skins, hides on the floor, bed. Don't need chairs. Don't think a giant table small. Bed table with a ton of cheap wine on it. Okay. Old shield and some of the chief's weapons in the corner. Old shield and weapons, giant weapons. Weapons in corner. A chest with its clothing. And other clothing hanging on pegs. A thick chain for his K-Bear set into one wall. Nothing of value is in the place. It's kind of disappointing. The chief's room has nothing. Chief's chamber, nothing. And that's all just description. Arms room. Oh, that's off of the hall. Shoot, I don't have that. So down to the south, there's two rooms off the hall, two like storage rooms off the main hall. I won't redo the map for that. What kind of cool treasure we can find in here? And the small dining room. I'll have to get to that. But the arms room first. Let me just double check where I think that is. 8, 9. Oh, I know I'm wrong about that. It's not on the side rooms off the main hall. It is by the chief's room. So this is the arms room right here. Interestingly, you only get to it off of this room, which is described after it. And I don't think there's any secret ways into that room. The chief's bedchamber has a secret way out. And there's a secret way into the great hall from the halls by the kids' chamber. So if the chief somehow gets back to his chamber and gets stuck there, he has a back way out of his chamber on this wall over here. So in the arms room, this is the location of the better trophies and personal armor, shields, and arms of the chief. Okay. 4 huge fur capes. 5 javelins of lightning. Cool. Wrapped in old rag, which is stuffed under a cloak, thrown into a far corner, and shielded from sight by spears and club leaning against the wall. Okay. 3 spears and a club leaning against the wall. 1 or 2 items in the place. 1 of the capes. One of the capes, the giant otter fur, has any worth to the party? Hmm. So I deleted the text here. Let me bring back the text I deleted because it was kind of descriptive. This is the location of the better trophies and personal armor, shield, and arms of the chief. Arms room. So many giant weapon arms and armor. Many giant arms and armor are stored here. Yeah, stored here in racks along the walls. Several huge fur capes hang from hooks. There we go. So that's the room description done. Don't need that. If we search, what are we going to find? So here, we'll find wrapped in an old rag, which is stuffed under a cloak, thrown into a far corner, and shielded by weapons from sight by other weapons are. So in D&D, javelins of the lightning are not consumable. Now, they must have been in first edition. So I'm going to just say one javelin of lightning. And I don't know if I have that described yet for D20 play, so I'll add that. And then you can also find one of the capes is a giant otter fur. One of the capes has worth. And that is giant otter fur, 2,000 gold is 1,000 gold. So that goes away, that goes away, that goes away. And that's the arms room. Then the small dining room. So this room is the one with this table here and the fur, writing desk, a fireplace, and there's going to be a secret door into some stairs down. Small dining room. I'm not sure what that said. Small dining room contains a long table. I'll just say long table. Great chair isn't shown separately on the map. I guess there's one with some hand rails, so that'd be that great chair. Long table, a great chair, a lesser chair, and 6 stools. Okay. Several shelves, a smaller table and chair. Mike. Hey, Mike. Never played these modules before. I actually know very little about them. Well, you definitely want to play them, Mike, and you probably don't want to watch any more of what I'm doing if you want to play them. This is great. I'm DMing my first mini campaign. I'm going to go back and watch this from the start. Hey, thanks, Brandon. Thanks for this. Yeah, you're welcome, Brandon. And any old hands, if you've run this adventure before, what would you share with Brandon? And what would you share with me? I've run this adventure many times, but it's always cool to add cool little new things. I definitely recommend taking stuff from the 197 issue of Dungeon Magazine, Steadying of the Hill Giant Chief, done by Chris Perkins. A lot of cool little nuanced changes that they made there, and a little more detail to the treasure than gem worth 200 gold, like Gygax has all over the place. I'll go back, and after I've done the tuning of everything for its value, I'll probably give more description of the things that are in here. So thanks for watching, Mike. Thanks for watching, Brendan. And everyone else who's joining us, thanks for watching. Okay, so we're on to the small dining room. A long table, a great chair, a lesser chair, and 6 stools, several shelves, a smaller table and chair. I always hate saying smaller, so a side table and chair. Some miscellaneous items. I don't know if I'd read that out, but maybe as they're searching, it might come up. There are hides on the walls and floor. There's the secret door, which you can find with a search. There's merely a hidden door concealed behind a manticore hide hung on the wall. Do we have that described? There are hides on the walls and floor, including including a manticore hide. A rough skin map of the area showing past and planned raids hangs on the wall opposite the fireplace. So on south wall. Wall hangs a rough skin map. Planned raids. So no treasure. I move treasure near sometime. 10A is going to be that little room with the stairs going down. There's some firewood there. If I remember right, there's treasure hidden there. Let's see. See if I remember this right. Oh, there's something even better maybe. Okay. So in 10A, several scroll tubes are concealed in this room under a stack of logs in the alcove to the northwest. So we'll just say a stack of logs is the description of the room. The format. Why is the format weird? Format, change that. There we go. So stack of logs and then search. Several scroll tubes are concealed in the room, are concealed under the logs. Only one tube has anything in it. This one being sealed and marked with an O. What did they say originally? In area 10A. One being sealed and marked with a triangle containing a Y. Inside is a set of instructions on the next raid, written in Giantish and signed a clavdra. Also in the tube are the plans for the steading, but this plan does not show the lower level. Note that the steps lead to the secret area of the dungeon level. So here you could get a plan. You could get the plans for the steading. Okay. So you're going to have to be ready with a map for that. And will the plans show all the secret doors? Be another question to ask. And there's really not much to the steading that the plans might reveal that the party doesn't know by this point, but it could be handy. And how much of it will be annotated? Will there be, kitchens, barracks, etc.? And will all the secret doors be noted? Now, if they've got the important secret door. No others are really that important, except maybe the one going into the Great Hall. That could be handy. So stacks of logs search, several scroll tubes concealed under the logs. Only one has anything in it. This one being sealed and marked with a triangle containing a Y. Inside is, let's say, Scroll tube. Inside is a set of instructions written in giantish. Probably put that first. Let's see here. Instructions in giant on the next rate. That way I stop myself before I tell what the instructions are about. Inside the Clavdra. Also in the tube are, so these are like pieces of the treasure. Set of instructions in giant, which I'll have to describe. Also in the tube are the plans for the steading. Steading top level. That's it. I might know where the alarm bell is. So if the party's coming to this room, they could. How could they get to this room? They could come over the wall where the wolves are and somehow get through these doors before the wolves are attracted to them. They could climb and like rappel down to those doors. And so there's a number of ways they could get to any one of these inner chambers quickly without going through everything before. Small dining room, got that. Stack of logs, got that. Search and find several scroll tubes concealed under the logs. One contains. Do I need several scroll tubes under the logs? No. Just one's fine. Scroll tube concealed under the logs. Sealed and marked. There we go. And those will like be treasure items that the party can take with them and split up, although not necessarily too important to split up. Okay, now we got the long hall. And we already looked at this one. This is one that leads into the Great Hall, which we've done. Got all the giants and their treasures split up. Arsenal room. Okay, so there's a room off of the Great Hall. I'm going to drag the numbers down here to this. Come into Great Hall first. Arsenal room, weapons room, arsenal, and weapons. John Pintar maps are great. I will be using that one. They are, Greg. Greg, you're running this, right? Have you started running it yet? Anyone watching, have you started running it? Or are you currently running it? Have you run it in the past? What are your thoughts? What do you change around in this one? I'm interested in getting down to the lower levels where we get to the strange temple. So let's get on here. And now we have our first also indication something is afoot here, with of course the scroll tube the party can take that they could then, for example, in downtime, research that symbol. What does a triangle containing a Y mean? I have that kind of built into the D20 play that you can consult sages during downtime and what those consultations cost. Of the plans for the steading. Ooh, who drafted those plans? Who will that lead to someone who's involved with the giants? That's an interesting idea. And then who's a Clavdra? Finding out who this Clavdra person is. So a ton of useful information here. I put in, let me just share this real quick. So my current draft here of the D20 Play RPG. Yeah, compress all these headings. Go to the player about. So your role as a player, this way I share with players, a huge part of having an open world where the players really drive the action is to try and encourage them to seek information And that little scroll tube was a treasure trove of information. I say here, information is the lifeblood of the game, so get as much of it as possible. Search rooms, search the fallen, learn languages, interrogate prisoners, consult sages, follow monster tracks back to their lairs, etc. So huge treasure item there. And then for my downtime, and I'm loving the browsing downtime. It's been a lot of fun. Players have rolled horribly, so it's been a huge treasure sink so far. I've had the majority of all rolls have been a 2 on a d20, which loses a whole bunch of treasure. But I have here research. You consult a sage or research obscure tomes of great value to gain the answer to an unknown question. The costs depend on the level of the subject. The GM will determine appropriate answers, which are true half the time. Okay, so you're going to search about who this architect is, who you have the plans for, search for who a collaborator is, search for what that symbol is. And these could range anywhere from 1,000, maybe a collaborator's 5,000 to get an answer, but at least 1,000 to get an answer with a sage researching a collaborator. So let me stop this presentation, go back to the transfer. Okay, so there, they could find a huge haul of info there. Got the long haul, got the great hall, got the rooms below. I'll move. Oh shoot. Okay. That great hall should go with under long hall, so move it up to there. There we go. Now numbers will be arsenal room. Okay, arsenal room. There are helmet, shields, spears, clubs, and great axes. I would not count the numbers, but I'll leave them there just for my reference should people start counting them. None are of any use to the party. There are giant-sized. There are numerous giant-sized helmet, shields, spears, clubs, and great axes around the place. Done. Then we got a weapon room off of the arsenal room. Did not spell numerous, right? Numer. Spears, shields, clubs, and axes are abundant here. No fewer than 12 of each. So again, numerous, giant-sized. Boom. For my reference, no fewer than 12 of each. All sizes are giants, of course. Good. For great swords, 200 respect to man-sized creatures. Giant-sized great swords would be enormous, so I'll just erase that. 2 iron maces and a sheaf of spears. Okay. So I have a whole bunch of shields right here. Doesn't matter that they're against the walls. One behind the 7th one checked will be found A. So then there'll be a search. Find behind the 7th shield checked. This is a Warhammer +2. One other hammer is out of sight in a corner, and it is seen by close. This weapon has a magic mouse spellcast on it. So then that one will just be a Warhammer with magic mouth. Speak to dwarf. Here's a kiss for you, runt. So until it has spoken, it will radiate magic very strongly. Find behind the 7th shield checked and in a corner. 2 warhammers. Numerous giant-sized spears, shields, clubs, and axes are abundant here. 4 great swords, 2 iron maces, sheaf of long spears. Boom, that's weapons room. Okay. Then we had the main guest chamber, which we already looked at. And we got some common rooms, which we already looked at. And I can delete that map. And then we got the kitchen workroom, servants' quarters, orc slave den, ogre we did. Okay. I already got that. Treasure. Don't have the copper. So we'll say 300 copper pieces, or 50 copper pieces each. No, it's just on the floor there. 312 copper pieces. If the party takes the time to search for that 3 gold pieces worth of treasure. Okay, that takes that room. Now we're to the open compound and all the dire wolves. Whew, it's a lot of dire wolves. Numbers down here. And let me just get the rest of these upper level rooms done. Oh man, we're almost done with the upper level. Guard room, barracks room, barracks room. 14 dire wolves run free here. So, okay, so 14. What's the number is going to be for 14? Ooh, don't have it yet. It's going to be 8, I bet. 14 times 0.555 equals 8. So there are 8 dire wolves running free here. And they will immediately attack any non-giant or non-ogre anywhere in the area, of course. Don't see that. Note that if they see the whip, scared of whip. Area 19. Cower from whip and make no sound. But otherwise, they howl and bite. God, don't you wish they had word processors back in the day? And you can put the stuff that goes with other stuff where it's supposed to go. Immediately attack any non-giant or non-ogre. Immediately attack and howl and bite. Because that's pretty important that they're howling. They don't really say bite because that's their only attack. Immediately attack and howl any non-giant. Cower from whip. Okay, so there's all that. We just indent that. Goes under the dire wolves. Run free here. Open compound. So no real description. I'll just say open compound. Open grass and mud. Stacks of soggy firewood. Firewood. And 8 dire wolves running free. Afraid of the whip. There's very important little things to make sure you don't miss for the people playing this adventure. That if they're playing smart will help them. The whip, the map, and then for the campaign, finding a Clavdra and the symbol of, I think, elemental evil. I'm going to have to go and check out Greg Grognard's stuff on the Giants again and watch his stuff for sure. I'd recommend him, especially Clavdra and what she's up to and how this whole giant thing isn't necessarily originally related to Doloth, but more related to the elemental evil. So we'll see about that. Okay, so open compound, heading 4. There we go. Select these headings. Okay, then we have a guard and 2 barracks rooms. And then you look at that, that's just going to be a guard room here and barracks room, barracks room. Whole bunch of giant barracks rooms here, right? Can you imagine if there's that many giants that closely located? And you come in here with 9 adventurers in your adventuring party. Oh my God. That'd be some crazy combat. Okay, there's a huge horn to wind to call the dire wolves. It rests upon the small table in the center of the room. There are 8 stools and 2 benches along the walls, a sheaf of 18 spears by the door, a line of 7 giant-sized and shields, and 4 clubs stands along the south wall. No creatures are in the room. Okay. Small table in the center of the room. There's no small table in the center of the room. There's just a giant table. Oh, there's a small table in the side of the room with the horn. So I'll say on a side table. A huge horn rests on a side table. A huge horn rests on a side table. A horn calls wolves. There we go. So there is a long table and stools. And benches. Let's see here. What does that look like? There's some benches on the walls. There's some stools at the table. So I'll just say there's a long table with stools. There's benches along the walls. This can go away. That can go away. Oh. Keep that. Benches along the walls. A sheaf of 18 spears by the door. A line of giant-sized shields and clubs stands on the south wall. No creatures in the room. Don't need that. Okay. Then, are there any giants in these barracks rooms? Place is deserted. That's good. So all the giants are at the party or out hunting or other. So this room contains giant beds, chests, stools, tables, and miscellaneous junk. Giant beds, chests, stools, tables, and miscellaneous junk. There are a few hides on the floors and walls. Several broken weapons and dented helmets are strewn about. Deserted. Identical to 24 above. Then it's got an alcove off of it. So 25A. Can never spell sergeant. Sergeant room. This alcove off the barracks belongs to the sergeant of the guards who's away feasting. There are 3 chests in the area. So 3 chests filled with clothing and equipment for the troops and himself. A sack on the wall. And one at the bottom holds another sack under his cot, has nothing but old helmets in it. Don't get it. One of the boots. A sack on the wall holds giant-sized boots. Okay, so if you go search, find in boot in sack. 1,300 gold. Wow, I have a hard time typing. And wow, gem. So gem 50 GPs times 8. And 1300 will become times 0.555, 700, 720. Okay. So the sergeant room, it's got a bed and 3 chests. Giant bed and 3 chests. Chests are filled with clothing. And then sacks. A sack on the wall. And one under the bed. Old size boots. There we go. That. Okay. That is the upper level of the hill giant steading. But now let's look at the random encounters. So the random encounter tables, here we go. Oh, and then this is the random giant table. I might make a rollable table for that for the party as they get searching through it. All right, if you're watching, I'm going through G1 against the Giants, just going through and getting it ready to run here next week. Using my D20 Play RPG, which is very old school OSR, OSE, Shadow Dark level and scope of adventuring, which I'm finding I'm loving more and more now. So let's see, let's look at the Wandering Monsters. Western section, Great Hall, and then something else, Eastern section here. Part in the optical character recognition is pretty bad. So, and then I'm also updating the number of creatures to match a party of 5 rather than the party of 9 that the adventure is made for. The adventure does say, as written, a smaller party can do it, but I'm just kind of balancing it down to that smaller party on purpose. It's still going to be overwhelming. They still can't go fight every giant and hope to live. They still need to be cautious in their exploration. All right, counters 1 and 10, normally in the Western section. So I'm going to be using real time and rolling every 15 minutes for random encounters. And if they were using turns before, in theory, 10, you get through about 10 turns an hour, right? So basically, you should have 1 encounter an hour approximately. So that is the equivalent of a 5 in 20 chance of a random encounter. 5 in 20 every 15. And then in the Eastern section, the counter goes to 1 in 8. So it's a little bit higher chance. Western's 1 in 10, Eastern's 1 in 8. No, Great Hall's 1 in 8. Eastern's 1 in 12. So Eastern is, most of the giants aren't there. Okay, so we'll do the Great Hall as 7 in 20 every 15. And we'll do the Eastern section as 3 in 20 every 15. And it's just going to matter where you're at when I make the roll. Great Hall to 11, Western section. Okay, so then you're going to roll these numbers of things. So 2 hill giants should just be 1. 3 ogres will make 2. 1 hill giant will be 1. 4 to 12 ogres, that's going to be 2 to 7. So d6 plus 1. The nice thing about how they originally did these, they were all clearly on purpose, like a certain set of dice to roll. So I'm retaining that, even though I'm scaling them down. And let's put a heading on this so I have it in my list. There we go, Wandering Monsters, entry room, boom. Western section, 5 and 20 every 15. 2 to 7 ogres. Rushing to get shields for platters. One hill giant from 11 going to sleep off a drunk. 2 ogres from 11 going to get one of the guards. 1 hill giant from 11 taking a stroll. Great Hall. 1 to 4 hill giants heading for 13, so I'm going to make that 1 to 3. Heading for 13 from 11. 1 cloud giant heading for the front gate. 1 stone giant heading for the front gate. So they're like leaving. If you happen to roll this roll, that's them leaving the party, maybe. Eastern section, 3 and 20 over 15. The giantess coming from 11 to get her cave bear. 1 hill giant with 1 to 3 dire wolves going to 4. What's 4? Area 4 is the barracks. Okay. Not sure why it's going to 4, but the chief and 2 ogres going to get some trophies from 6 to show off in the Great Hall. The chief and should I keep 2 ogres for the chief? Yeah. And then 1 to 6 young giants from 3 heading through 22 to raid the pantry in 18. Okay. Whatever this is, I'll delete. There's my wandering monsters for the upper level. The giant's bag I'll put in at some point. If you have any questions as I'm going through this, just let me know in the chat in YouTube or Twitch, I think comes through too. Happy to answer any questions as I'm going. So that's it. That's the upper level. So you have a snoring hill giant in the first area. Another hill giant also dozing up in the tower above. You have, let's put these in the dungeon. Here, let's do that right now. Okay, so I'm gonna move this out of the way and I'm gonna go to my Roll20 tabs. First time into Roll20 here. And I'm gonna go basically until the family wakes up here. And then I might do another one of these later to do the lower level if I don't get through it to start. Oh, and I'm trying to give away this. You can see it. Let's see. Trying to give that away right there. That is Ghost of Dragonspear Castle from 2013. It's when D&D Next was being done. And they have the draft rules of D&D Next in there. Oh, I got a banner to. There we go. So Ghost of Dragonspear Castle giveaway. If we get 10 or more $5 super chats, we're 1 out of 10 now. And I'm just carrying it over between different live videos. I wish D&D had stayed with what was in that next one. It did not have bonus actions. And I'm loving the action move, action economy. It goes so much faster than throwing in the bonus actions. And also, although next I think suffered from this, all the multiple attacks high level characters get kind of start to really pile up. Okay, now I'm trying to share the Roll20. Roll20. Nope, not that one. That one. Here it is. Cool. Okay. So Steadying the Hill Giant Chief. I'm going to make a new map. I forget how big that map is, but it's pretty big. So add page, G1, Steading. Move it over here. I also got 3 Demon Cave ready to go. I'm going to be running that one here Tuesday night, I think. Okay. So there's the Steading. Come here. I'm going to grab that and that. Oh, and this. Copy those over. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of room around the periphery. Some place to put creatures that are waiting to be used. Grab that. Normally I'll turn off Fog of War while I'm setting stuff up. And I would do that. I definitely want to take map of Greyhawk and throw that in here where the steading is in Greyhawk, because we have a beautiful map of Greyhawk now. But first, let me grab the maps from John Pintar. And you can find John's maps on, I think, DM's Guild. So there's that, the map layer. Hill Giants upper level. Here we go. Okay, let's see if the map's big enough for, not quite. Make it a little bigger. Not much though. 99 might do it. Yeah, close anyway. And reveal the rest of this so I can see it clearly. So the first thing I'll normally do is come through here and put the numbers of the rooms in there. So let me do that. Go to the GM layer, go to the text, make it white, make it bold, probably 72, and then just gonna go through the different rooms here and throw in the room numbers. 1, and then B, 2, 3, 4. And I can move around later too, so don't need to make them all look pretty. 5, 6. Oops. That's actually 7. That is 6. Then 8, 9, 10, and 10A. Then 11 for the Great Hall. 11A. Then 12 down here for the weapons. 13 for more weapons. Oop, reverse that order. And then 14, 15, 16, 14, 15, and 16, 17, 18, I think this is 18A. Yep, 18A, 19, 20, 21, 22 for the big compound, 23 for the guard prep room, 24, 25, and 25A. All right, and I'll move those around as I place the creatures in there. So the party can come up to these front doors. And we didn't even really talk about those front doors. So are the front doors locked? What's going on with the front doors? The adventure describes them. What does it describe? It says, huge timber stronghold. Outer walls, logs, at least 3 feet in diameter. I need to put this in the description. In a nasty, damp area where hard rain is daily occurrence and wet fogs, a nightly event, all within the place is very damp, very, very low chance of catching on fire. In fact, I would make it no chance of catching on fire. Normal die score is required to open all doors due to their great size and weight. Doors will stay open if left that way. Fireplaces are indicated, but the locations of cressets and the braziers are not. Okay, front doors. It doesn't even say, or I'm just missing it. 2 snoring giants. Huh. All right, let's get the creatures in here. So now I don't have all these creatures defined yet in Roll20 or D20 play. So I'll be grabbing creatures and changing them as I go. And then also the question of size, right, comes up because in 5th edition, giants are huge, but this place could only really take on large giants. See if I have a Fomorian that I've done this special way. Shadow dark. There we go, cool. This is a Fomorian. You might recognize this guy from Lost Caverns of Sochcanth when he first appeared. But I might make my giant tokens kind of look like this. Now, the hard part with this is that, okay, the hit points are right in the right place, but if I were to put something along the top, having to do with some sort of condition, it'd be way up there. So I might put up with that. Or the other thing I can do is put an invisible token with them and then grab both at the same time. And then I put all the conditions on the invisible token. That's tricky though, and oftentimes you can forget and not grab both tokens at once. What an example of that look like? Invis. It would just be blank, actually. I wonder if I named it blank. I mean, this one can be a pure invisible token because the main thing has everything you need on it. So if I take that, I take this guy, I put him to the back. Then when I grab there, I'm grabbing the red token. If I grab up here, I'm grabbing the giant. And if I drag across both, I'm dragging both together. So now I can do that, and then I can put conditions on, and they will be over just the giant's square. But then you got to remember to move them both together. And that's the tricky part. So I'm not sure what I'll do there exactly for the giants. For right now, as I'm placing them in here, I'm just going to grab probably tokens that are 5th edition ones that I've made, and I'll have to make new ones for Shadow Dark, or I mean D20 play. So here's the hill giant. I'll be needing those. Here's a stone giant. Oh no, need them smaller, obviously. Don't have any frost giants in this one. We do have cloud giants. Oh, it's got the cool cloud giants. Got the fangs. The old throwback to the original art for that. And cloud giants, when I definitely want to be towering over their base, right? They need to look a lot bigger than even a hill giant. And that hill giant looks like he's just massive compared to the stone and the cloud. So I'll work on the scaling of that a little bit. What else do I need? Definitely need some ogres and orcs. I don't really have, I don't think, orcs that look like they're orc slaves. I could take that from Picture in the Adventure. There's a good one in there. I'm an orc slave cowering with a giantess trying to hit him. Let's see, let's look at that adventure. Where did it go? There it is. Let me share this tab instead. So if I want to find an orc, I could grab this guy right here and make a token from him. And for the giantesses, I could make that for the angry matron, right? And I can make that one for a regular giantess. So that'd work. I could use that for hill giant right there and have him. Too bad he's looking away. Carrying crawler down there. Yeah, that's about all the art I got. I could make art. I could make Nasra from this picture here. Definitely probably should do that. Although, where is that in this adventure? Where is that? Kind of looks like in Nasra's room. And I don't know if he's described wearing a cloak of some sort of creature, like a cave bear or a saber-tooth tiger or something like that. I'll have to take a look at that. So back to roll 20. Let's get some creatures in here. And like I said, I'll fix the tokens later. So I'm just put these to the side. There is a giant in area 1. Little giants dozing. The nearly empty keg of ale. Right, there's the keg of ale, and there's the giants dozing by it. So I'll put him right there by the keg of ale. Then there's a giant up here in area B. There's no, side map at area B. I might find one of those to use for that. So I'll put him, for now, I'll put him here on the map so don't forget where he goes. Then we come to the sub-chief's room, area 2, where there's a giantess. I'll put a hill giant there as well. And then we come to area 3, where there's a dormitory. Don't know if I'll put ogres there or if I wonder if I have a picture for young giants. I think I do. Giant. That mammoth looks awesome. That's cool. Okay, well, I'll just use ogres for now. I'll try and find better stuff. So whenever I'm making an adventure, all the stuff I've done on this video before this, where I'm like sorting out the room descriptions, don't really have to do that. And also what minis I use doesn't really matter. But I try and, as the week goes on or whenever, try and find better minis all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those guys. Yeah. Then we got the barracks, area 4, no one in there. Then area 5, maid's chamber. There'll be 2 giantesses there, the matron and a regular giantess. Oop, not ogres, giants. The ogres also look huge compared to giants too. 2 giants there. And then nothing at all. The chief cave bear in the chamber of the chief's wife, bear cave. There we go, and he's ready to go right away as soon as they open that door. Nothing in the chief's chamber 8, nothing in 9, nothing in 10. Then 11, that's where we got all the giants. So I wonder if I have a Nasra, actual miniature Nasra. Let us find out. I did. I have at some point had one of those because I ran them. So I'll find one that looks good for him. And he and his wife will be at the head table, him in the red chair, I'm sure his wife in that chair. And then also at the table, we should have the sub-chief. But also, we'll put the sub-chief to the side. He'll be over here, say, because the cloud giant will be at the table. And a stone giant as well. Cloud giant there, maybe a stone giant here and here. There we go. And then we got the sub-chief off. Then there's going to be 12 more hill giants. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you can see how crowded this place would be if I doubled that number as the adventure was written. There we go. Next. 4 ogres, and they should be serving. Various servants and orc slaves entering the rail from the west. These ogres have to be off to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this giant, I'll find a place up there. Okay, and then the cave bear, the chief. Holy mackerel. That's a lot of giants. That'll get ugly fast. And the way it was written, it was double that number. Oh, man. That's 11. 12 and 13 have nothing in them. 14 has nothing. 15 and 16 have nothing. 17, nothing. 8. Well, 17 has orc slaves and giantess and young ogres. So 3 giantesses. We'll do the young ogres. Ogre. I'm going to make the young one smaller. Just medium size. 2, 3. Oh, 6 of them. 4, 5, 6. 3 giantesses. 1, 2, 3. And 16 orc slaves. Okay, let's see what I got for an orc slave. Okay. What is this game, Simon? Welcome, Simon. I'm just prepping to run G1, Studying the Hill Giant Chieftain, and I'm prepping to run it for D20 Play RPG, which is OSR First Edition Shadow Dark scope game. So I'm going through and I'm prepping the adventure, also making it so that it's appropriate for 5 characters instead of the 9 as originally written. So going through and doing all that. Have you ever played G1? Let us know in the chat if you have. All right. So we did the kitchen, got all the, oh, we're doing orcs. Orc slave. Don't really have a good orc slave. I'll have to work on that. I'm going to just use an orc for now. But like I said, I'll change that. And those things look bigger than the ogres. And there's like, oh man, 16 of them. I feel like I got to spread these between the different rooms. Coming and going. And these doors should almost be open. Like if I do this open, and some of these should be out amongst the tables, right? In this chamber. Doing stuff. And some of the ogres should be too. Some of the young ogres should be out here serving and running back and forth. Put an ogre there. These guys cowering at the feet of the giantesses. The ogres, 1 ogre per giantess maybe is their primary helper. Then 1 orc per giantess is also helping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's good. There's all my orc slaves running around. These guys are getting supplies from this room back here, getting stuff out of barrels, getting stuff off the table, getting stuff over here, just running back and forth, stoking the fireplace, the multiple fireplaces with firewood, things like that. So Simon's never played G1. Definitely worth trying, Simon. Right now I'm playing D&D 2nd Edition, Storm King's Thunder. It's a campaign from 5th Edition. It's working well. Yeah. Oh, cool. So you got giants and lots of giants. Maybe you could use D&D 5e campaign with Shadow Dark. You can easily convert stuff from 5e back to Shadow Dark, for sure. Yeah, or any other OSR game. Okay, so I got all those orcs and all those ogres. And now, where I'm up to, that was 18. Nothing in 18A. Nothing in 18 specifically, except for the things I put in there now. And then the servants' quarters has 3 giantesses and a handsome giant warrior. 1, 2. So this will be where some of the giantess servants are, and the handsome giant warrior, who's just chatting them up. Then we'll put somewhere on that wall where that whip goes. Orc slaves. There's only 2 orcs in there in the orc slave chamber. And they both have broken bones. And if the party helps them, they will share with the party secret information. And then 21, we got 5 ogres in there throwing bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 ogres take up a lot of room fast. There we go. And then 22, we got a whole bunch of dire wolves. 8 dire wolves running free in there. Wolf. There's the dire wolf. Need 8 of these guys. Maybe a couple out there snarling and growling at each other. One sleeping over here, one sleeping in the corner over here, another one piled up next to it. Couple just sniffing around over there. There's my dire wolves. And then this whole northeast compound is empty of creatures. So there we go. That's the upper level of the steading of the Hill Giant Chieftain. Party's got a great opportunity to sneak in while the party's happening. They could come in by climbing up the tower from the outside and getting inside the watchtower. Let's take a look again at a nice picture of this place. Share this tab. So here's an outside view of the place. I'll definitely grab this and use it. There's this open compound with doors into the main place. Can the party see that from where they're at outside? I have to think about that. They can definitely see the watchtower that they could climb from the exterior, come in and kill that giant there. There's front doors to place around the corner here. They could go right into the front doors. They could go over the wall here or try to open the gate. But those dire wolves are going to be tough to get past without alerting. There's multiple fireplaces in the place. So a party could crawl down a fireplace into the place, especially if they had resistance. And there's some that are not even lit. So that's another way in. There's lots of ways in. Party for sure does not have to go through the front door. This place shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5. These are unlit. That one's maybe lit. These are probably lit. Let's look at the map I'm actually using though. Back to share with Roll20. Okay, here we go. So this one's harder to see the fireplaces, but there's one in the chief's room. There's one in this room. The chiefess has one. The guests have one. For sure in the kitchen they're lit. That one's probably lit. These two for sure are not lit. And whether the ones on the east wall here are lit is up to you. And the roof's all like, thatch and stuff. It should be easy to come through the roof, bore a hole in the roof somewhere in the place. So then the party could be like along the outskirts, searching all these rooms that are empty over here, searching these rooms that are mostly empty and where, no one's going to come to help anyone. Where will people come to help? It's really not any, the kids, people hear the kids screaming, they're not going to come to help. It's him. Okay. So if the handsome giant up here to the north were to cry out for help, it says there's a chance it'll come, but where does it come from? Do the orcs all the way down here hear it? Is this open doors here? They're coming to and fro. Someone in the party hear it and come to his aid? He's a long ways away from getting aid, so I might not even have anyone come to his aid. If you come over the wall here and you're fighting the wolves and they're howling and biting, then he would probably hear that. And he would probably come out this door and take part. But then you're just fighting the dire wolves on one giant. And the women might not do anything but watch and then cower. So there's a good chance you get in. And if you can get right to there, you can get right to the stairs down. And you can find that secret scroll and learn a whole lot more about what's going on with these giants. If you come into the main room here and fight all the giants at once, you're in trouble. It's over. Should be over pretty quick. I mean, all these things throwing stuff at you, picking up the stools and smashing them at you. It'd be ugly fast. So that's the upper level of the giants. I think I'm going to pause here, and maybe tomorrow morning I'll try and do the lower level, same as I just did the upper level. Just a fantastic adventure. I love these site-based adventures. I think that's how all adventures should really be, a site where stuff's happening and the party can infiltrate and explore and do whatever they want, and the place reacts to them appropriately. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all next time.